Five, four, three, two, one. This is the Jedi 08, also known as Jeremy the Jedi Guillory, and Bobby knows.
Bobby
So,
knows, man.
all right. So, today we will be discussing about um, Bam Bam Bigelow. So, when you first saw Bam Bam Bigelow for the first time, what was the first thought that ran through your head?
The tattoo on his head.
Exactly.
It was awesome.
Yes, it was. Yeah, he was very well known for the flaming tattoo on his head. He was also considered one of the more controversial guys out there uh, overall. Um, Not as controversial as some others, but he did have some controversies probably early on in his life, all the way down to the end of his life. I'm not really certain on how to describe his outside of the professional um, life as well. Supposedly, there were some controversies regarding him in the law, regarding trafficking, kidnapping, and I think a rape or something like in the 80s or 80s or wherever. I'm not entirely sure. Most of the stories I saw that is very vague on it as to what may have happened, um, or even if it is true or not. I'm just going by the reports that I've researched. He was also in the main event of a WrestleMania against Lawrence Taylor. Their feud began actually in the Royal Rumble, where he lost in a match, and they put Lawrence Taylor at ringside, and he just saw him laughing at Bam Bam, and he came up and smacked him in the face for that. And he said he wants a match with him anytime, anywhere. And Vince booked them for WrestleMania that year. Um, that was during a time where WWE was not doing too well in the ratings wise, and they needed a new audience, so they chose the NFL. And they thought that that was going to be good. Turns out it was one of the smallest WrestleManias out there in their history. Um, I I don't know what else to say about that because even though he carried on the match very well, um, did a good job professionally. But that WrestleMania was highly criticized as one of the top worst WrestleManias, even on the worst WrestleMania list on here when we did that list. But it was not by his fault by any means. But we know that if it wasn't for him carrying on that match and being a good heel as he was, um, if anything else had happened in that match, then there may have been a chance that um, WWE would not be where they are now. So kudos to Bigelow for exactly what he did for that.
Yeah,
Um,
it was Vince thinking smart that WCW now has Monday Nitro,
yeah,
and the other competitions is football on Monday Night Football. So Vince thought if he could get NFL wrestling WWF, it would take it off the W. It was a competition. He just lost Hogan and Savage to
Yeah.
WCW, and now he was thinking, how do I get at these guys? I'm going with the NFL. Smart.
Yeah.
I get it 100%. Me personally, I wouldn't have had. I like Bam Bam, big fan of Bam Bam, but I wouldn't have had that as the main event. I thought that was Lawrence Taylor, no disrespect, should not be. It should have been at least a tag match. I would have at least done a tag match,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't have had that as the main event.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
not me. If I was booking it, no.
Yeah. So we've seen, well, before then, how many celebrities have actually main evented wrestling shows before that match?
Well, Mr. T and Muhammad Ali were involved in the first WrestleMania. Muhammad Ali,
Yeah.
the referee. Mr. T was the tag match, which that's cool. You know, that works. Yeah. But having a football player go over a wrestler in the main event, how is that good for WWE? That can't be good for WWE, you know?
Yeah.
The match wasn't that bad. They did a lumberjack thing where a bunch of guys got to be involved in the last main event, but hey, it's history. Now we could look back. I still would have I would have done, if I was booking that WrestleMania, not to change the subject, it would have been Diesel and Psycho Sid. That would have been the main event for WrestleMania 11. That's the way I would have done it.
Definitely.
Sid was there. You knew Sid was a main event WrestleMania guy. The last time he left, he kicked out of Hogan's leg drop. Nash is the new champion. They're two 7-footers. That's the main event for WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Nothing against Shawn Michaels or nothing, but at that time, the Diesel and Sid would have worked. You know, that would have been the main event I'd have done. So.
He did have a little bit of a trouble life upbringing. He debuted in wrestling in 1985. I want to say in 1986 he did win Rookie of the Year. So they were really looking forward to him being a future star going in. And was he ever a main eventer to your knowledge?
Yeah, he main evented the first Survival Series.
Yeah.
Him and Andre the Giant were the last two people, and what they should have done, if the not to take away from kayfabe, but if Bigelow would have won that match, he should have went on to WrestleMania 4 and faced Hogan. Bigelow was getting an early push in late '87. He was doing the cartwheels in the ring, but Andre the Giant basically squashed him at Survival Series. And then Bam Bam wasn't even used in the tournament at WrestleMania 4, but he was one of the last two guys. Hogan got eliminated at the Survival Series '87, and Bam Bam and Andre were the last two people. And to be in that position in 1987, to get a big push like that, that's a pretty big deal. But it would be a couple of more years before Bam Bam gets the main event, and it was with Lawrence Taylor. Bam Bam's always been an attraction to pro wrestling, and he's a legit tough guy. What you see is what you get. This is not a guy to mess with. And he played in Major Pain, which is a great movie, if you didn't know that, which is one of the reasons why McMahon stuck him against Lawrence Taylor, because during the same time, Bam Bam was in Major Pain.
Yeah. I do remember that scene, and it was one of the most hilarious scenes of the entire movie, too.
He had the look. He could perform. He could wrestle. Legit tough guy.
Definitely.
And really got held back by politics. He could have been bigger. And he did awesome stuff at E. Some people say Van Dam made Van Dam.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy's legit. I miss him. He was one of the greatest wrestlers. I don't know if he's the greatest top 10 wrestler of all time, but he's definitely up there with one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. Him and Vader is about the same, if you ask me.
Yeah. Now, here's something I did not know till recently, is that early on in his career, back when he was in New Japan Pro Wrestling, he did do a tag team. He used to tag team with Big Van Vader as
Oh,
well.
that would have been awesome.
It would have been awesome to see them both
Yes.
together in the ring.
I think they did wrestle against each other one time. I believe
They,
they did.
probably in WWF they did.
Yeah, on a
Yeah, we would
yeah.
have to look that up for sure, but that would have been a good
That are big in
match.
wrestling, and
Yeah,
Bam Bam had an audience outside of wrestling, which makes him even more of a legit superstar. He wasn't
definitely.
just, he had more than just wrestling audiences. He had another fan base going on there. Not necessarily a cult group, but he's Bam Bam Bigelow, you know.
Yeah,
And you know what's crazy about Bam Bam? He knew he was good, and he knew he was one of the best, and he just had that confidence to him. You know,
definitely.
I've got a personal story about I never met Bam Bam Bigelow. I watched him, but one time I was booked in the same city that Bam Bam had passed away in, and I didn't comprehend that it was the same town, the same area, and I about got booked at the same motel that he passed away in, and I realized it was. I'm not saying Bam Bam was talking to me from the grave, but it was like a moment, you know, like to the Bam Bam Bigelow match. I go to the restroom, you know, and I like to play on my phone. I look up Bam Bam's biography and realize I can hear Bam Bam's voice on the TV in the background while I'm reading his biography. And it showed me the town he had passed away in. And I was booked in the same city with the ECW guy. And I just thought, what a moment. You know, I had that, you know, coincidence moment of Bam Bam, you know, that was
Definitely.
cool. You know, I'm not saying he was talking to me from the grave, but it was like, it was something letting me know, hey, this is where Bam Bam passed away at.
Yes,
You know, same city I was booked in. I can show you the flyer.
I will definitely believe it there.
Yeah, it happened, man.
So
And hearing his voice in the background, you know, not to be gross to the audience, but you know, I'm sitting on the toilet looking at my phone, reading about Bam Bam's biography, and I could hear his voice talking on the TV in the background. And I was just like, you know, I had one of those moments, you know, it was just super cool, you know.
definitely. So I think I'm not sure if they ever had this match, but my biggest dream match for Bam Bam Bigelow would be him versus Big Boss Man. Um,
Yes,
that
yes, they wrestled. Yes,
I mean,
I think it might have been at WrestleMania 4. I got to double check. I think that was one man game. Yes, Bam Bam and the Boss Man did have a couple of matches.
okay,
I'm pretty sure because I watched it, you know, on YouTube.
yeah.
So
Do you think that it would have been better for them to go against each other 1-on-1 or be in a tag team match together?
well, that's one of those matches where you know if Bam Bam plays the cricket storyline, but it's probably one of the matches they try to avoid, if you ask
Yeah,
me, because it's like a conflict of interest with the. But I bet it was an awesome match because any match
yeah,
Bam Bam's in, and
definitely.
nothing against the Boss Man, but the Bam Bam can work. You know, Bam Bam's a worker. He can work any
Yeah,
match with anybody. Even
yeah,
if Bret Hart says you're one of the best wrestlers, you're a great wrestler. If you
de-
get Bret Hart's approval, you're a great wrestler. You know, period.
definitely, definitely. So, would you look at Bam Bam Bigelow as a um his
Boss,
character? Would you see him as a conf, confident guy, um, biker, or um, anything like that kind of character, or do you think that he's just a legit tough guy?
I think he's a legit tough guy, but when you're a little kid and you don't really know about bikers a whole lot except they're scary guys, and you hear the
Yeah,
word Bam Bam, you're thinking of the Flintstones back then. In the late
yeah,
80s and early 90s. You know, remember Bam Bam on the Flintstones?
yeah, I
Bam,
do.
you ever seen the Flintstones? Bam Bam.
Yes,
That's kind of what I think got that name Bam Bam from, because he would go, he just looks like a K, like He was just a legit tough guy. And during
Yeah.
that time, a lot of people didn't have their hair shaved. That was during a time when big hair, the hair metal thing was going
Yeah.
on. And then you got this guy looking different with a bald head. It was an attraction.
Bald,
But not
bald,
only was it an attraction, he could wrestle.
yeah. Bald
He
head,
was an
flaming
extreme guy.
tattoos on his head, doing moonsaults and cartwheels. I mean,
Him and Randy Savage would have been an awesome match too. I bet that.
they probably did do some matches together.
Yeah,
Um,
Bam Bam was a legit guy. Him and
yeah,
Scott Razor Ramon had matches. I like Bam Bam. I've heard some
yeah,
story. Hall and Nash claimed that one time some dudes pulled a gun on Bam Bam in San
yeah,
Francisco and Bam Bam ran out the door. I don't know if that's trying to bury Bam Bam or what.
yeah,
But when you listen to Bam Bam in his interviews, man, you're like, man, this guy's got a lot of confidence. He knows he's a tough guy.
yeah,
He knows he's an awesome badass. You know what I
yeah,
mean? You know he's the.
yeah,
You know, some dudes were born to be a pro wrestler. And if you ask me not to be, superstitious, Bam Bam to me in my mind was a gift to wrestling from God.
yeah,
Some guys just have it. And
yes,
Bam Bam was one of those guys where God goes, you know what? I'm going to make this guy a pro wrestler. And that's my opinion about that. Bam
yeah,
Bam was a gift from God for pro wrestling. If
yes,
you wanted to bless pro wrestling, Bam Bam was one of those dudes you blessed pro wrestling with. It's not a coincidence that he was in the main event at one of the WrestleManias. The guy's an icon. The guy's a legend. He should get a lot more credit, and he could have done so much more in the business. And to top it off that, when he was in WCW, even though Goldberg buried him, if you ask me, the Super Brawl 9 pay-per-view was the third highest selling WCW pay-per-view, and they redid the Hogan Flair match the next month, but they didn't have Goldberg and Bam Bam on there. So who sold that pay-per-view? It was Goldberg and Bam Bam, and the fact that Goldberg went to jail on the Tonight Show and challenged Stone Cold Steve Austin. But Super Brawl 9 that had Goldberg versus Bam Bam, which was probably Bam Bam's last big pay-per-view match, like a big legit match. That pay-per-view, even when the ratings were down on Nitro, was the third highest WCW pay-per-view for the late '90s anyway.
yeah,
Super Brawl 9. So great career. I remember the day he came to WCW and was looking for Goldberg, and it's like I already knew who he was. You know what I mean? I already
definitely,
knew who he was.
definitely. So back in '88, he did team up with Hogan a few times to face DiBiase and Andre the Giant. Do you know of any times where him and Hogan actually face each other? To your,
No, and I think that really hurt because they were moving the belt to Randy Savage.
yeah,
You know, and if you look at it from a promoter's point of view, I get it. They're doing the Hogan Andre rematch. Andre is why Hogan and Bam Bam probably didn't happen. But if they could have just had Hogan cost Andre the Giant that first survival series, and Bam Bam could have been the sole survivor of the very first survival series, that would have been huge. And then you could have had Bam Bam turn on Hogan and WrestleMania 4. Nothing against the Macho Man and Ted DiBiase, but it's not one of the best matches. You could have got Hulk Hogan and Bam Bam Bigelow at WrestleMania 4. And if you ask me, that's what should have happened.
yeah. So I have seen interviews where they talked about a potential Hogan versus Bam Bam match. The build-up was there; they were wanting to do it. Supposedly, both sides actually wanted the match to happen, but something happened backstage or behind the scenes where it went from yes, this is going to happen to no, not at this time, and then Hogan went one way, Bam Bam stayed with WWF at the time, and they just decided not to do it. I'm not sure if it was a Vince McMahon thing or a Hogan thing, but supposedly Hogan was down for it, Bam Bam was down for it, but someone higher up just was not. really sold on that match. I'm not sure exactly what may have happened, but someone was not 100% certain about that being a good main event match at that time.
Well, sometimes facing Hogan, which before the Attitude Era, facing Hogan was the thing to do. Hogan was a make or break your career.
Definitely, definitely.
It was a deadly match for your career, man. Even Andre the Giant, he never got back to where he was at when Hogan beat him. He's still an icon, but the draw went down. You know.
Definitely, definitely. So, um, another thing that you have to really look at is you see Bam Bam versus the likes of um, Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, Vader would probably show up at that time. Um, Big Boss Man,
Doink the Clown. Doink the Clown. They had a match at Mania.
Yeah, Doink the
Bam Bam and
Clown.
Doink the Clown.
Kevin Nash, Diesel, Sid
Yes.
Vicious.
And Nash and Bam Bam teamed up at King of the Ring '95, and I think that was the last of the big WWE Bam Bam push. They should have went with Diesel and Bam Bam at SummerSlam, but they went with Diesel and Mabel, which is considered one of the worst, if not the worst, SummerSlam main event of all time.
Definitely, it was.
I would have had Bam Bam beat Diesel. I mean, putting the belt on Bam Bam would have been good for your company.
Yeah. So Bam Bam never won the championship. I do know that for a fact. Do you recall him ever competing for the World Heavyweight Championship or any?
He was in the tournament at WrestleMania 4. He either got disqualified in the first round against One Man Gang. I mean, think about this, brother. That Andre the Giant and Bam Bam Survival Series match, if they just would have let Bam Bam win that match, he would have been a great heel for the Macho Man at WrestleMania 4. I mean, definitely. No one's letting nobody win, but I'm just saying, sometimes booking decisions can kill careers. Bam Bam, I think, wrestled Diesel on Raw one night, and I think he wrestled Sid. I think him and Sid had a title match. That would have been an awesome match. Sid and Bam Bam. Huh.
So
Bam Bam was one of those guys. They kept moving to the main event, moving back to mid card, and then when it wouldn't work out, they'd move back. They'd go back to Bam Bam, and then he'd go back to mid card. He kept going back and forth from mid card to the main event because he was a legit attraction.
Yeah. So here's a list of some accomplishments that Bam Bam has done throughout his wrestling career. He was a ACW American Combat Wrestling Tag Team Champion one time. Continental Wrestling Association, he was the AWA Southern Heavyweight Champion. ECW, he was the ECW World Heavyweight Champion and a World Television Champion. NWA Northeast Heavyweight Champion. New Japan Pro Wrestling Tag Team Champion. He was number 24 out of the top 500 singles wrestlers in 1994. In WCW, he was a hardcore champion, world tag team champ, and a world tag team champion with Chris Canyon. World Class Wrestling Association, television champion, heavyweight champion for World Star Wrestling. So, do you think that Bam Bam Bigelow deserves a spot in the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame or WWE Hall of Fame?
Yes, and it's not even a question. I mean, that's a legit answer. That's like saying, do you think 1+1 is 2? Of course, Bam Bam deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Why do you think that he's not in the Hall of Fame right now?
Because he would have been big with or without WWE. He's not considered a WWE guy because he's a legit all over pro wrestler. He's not just a WWE guy. He would have been big whether WWE ever existed or not. That's
Yeah.
why. It's like they want to go with their guys. He's not necessarily their product, if that makes sense. He must have owned his name too, so because he used it everywhere.
Yeah. So it's interesting that you say that he's not a WWE guy, and yet his biggest exposure and biggest matches were in the WWE of all places. So
Well, what I mean is, yes, he's a WWE guy, but he's not their product. He was
yeah,
big everywhere else, and actually, Super Brawl 9 in WCW sold more pay-per-view ratings than WrestleMania 11 did. WrestleMania 11 didn't sell.
yeah, yeah. So
It was still a good show.
true, true. So you look back at his later life. Um, it was a little bit rocky. You couldn't get back to really the main event spots there. He couldn't once WCW folded. Um, you would see him almost everywhere. He did not go back to WWE, to my knowledge. You didn't really see him in WWE at all during that time. But he did go throughout other promotions, supposedly in TNA at one point.
Yeah, I was
Um,
curious. Did he ever go to TNA? I'd love to see a Bam Bam TNA match. That's awesome. I didn't know he went there.
yeah, he was one of the performers considered for TNA early on, but his contract expired in 2002, and he went to the independent circuit. So I don't think he ever actually went to TNA. He just went independently to different independent shows, all the way up until his passing. Um, Now, one of the things that I find very ironic with him is what happened to him in 2003. Now, when you look at Bam Bam Bigelow, he would always wear the flaming attire, flames throughout his wardrobe, flaming head, flaming tattoos on his head, all that. In 2003, those flames became a symbol of a moment of his life because he was walking in his neighborhood one day, and there was a house fire, and he hears screaming in that building, and out of instinct, out of anything out there, first thing he does is he reacts there, doesn't call the fire department, doesn't call the police. He just bursts open the door of that flaming house and rescues three kids in there.
Wow.
And I was like, man, I don't care what they've said about his past, what they've said about him, about those drug charges or whatever's going on from 2002. At that point, that is his redeeming life quality. He is a hero to those kids and a hero to many at that point.
Yes.
And
Yes. I've read something about this.
yeah,
It just there's stuff that's beyond our control, you know, and like it,
Yeah.
I'm the not that Bam Bam would ever need my help, but if Bam Bam was here right now and someone was disrespecting him, I would kick their ass, man. Not
Definitely.
that he needed my help or anything, but I would.
Yeah.
I never met the guy personally, but I got a lot of
Yeah.
respect for him, and
Yeah.
I would have kicked anybody's ass that disrespected Bam Bam Bigelow. I don't care who they are.
That I mean, those issues, that moment shows you exactly who he was as a person.
A legit
So
hero.
a legit
He
hero.
was he was legit. He was the
Yes.
he's the real deal, is
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There's a lot of wrestlers that are the real deal. He's one of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Now,
And when Bret Hart says you're, like I said, if you get the Hitman's bitter and complains about everybody, but he talks Bam Bam up. So there you go.
yeah. Now that's not to downplay any of his legal issues from 2002 all the way down to 2006, I believe, when he passed away. So those issues back then, in between there, none of those issues, none of those legal issues were very severe.
Oh, and I mean this with all due respect. I don't want these bad things that because nobody's perfect.
No,
People
no
go through
one,
stuff, but I don't want this taking away anything from Bam Bam's career. Wrestling would not be complete without a Bam Bam Bigelow. And
definitely.
Bam Bam Bigelow's like having whipped cream on your ice cream or a cherry. If you don't have the whipped cream and cherry, it's not a complete hot fudge sundae.
True.
He's complete, and I don't he's gonna be remembered as a legit badass Bam Bam Bigelow. I mean, I don't know however much to put the guy over, man. He don't need me to do anything.
Yeah.
He is what you get. He's the real thing.
Definitely.
He just Andre the Giant, you know, you can't just throw Andre the Giant around. But if Andre just could have let Bam Bam, if Bam Bam just could have beat him at Survivor Series, dude, we could be talking about a whole different kind of Bam Bam. But then again, like I said, a Hogan match can make or break you. And maybe it's good that Bam Bam didn't have a good run with Hulk Hogan because, like I said, Hogan and Bam Bam are both icon legends. I don't know. Man, I don't want to hear any kind of negative stuff about Bam Bam. I pray that he's up there in heaven right now with Hogan and the match is going on in heaven right now and we see it again one day. I mean, dude, let's get real, dude.
Yeah,
a lot of guys are.
He probably is in heaven right now.
A lot of guys are wrestlers or trained to become wrestlers. Bam Bam's a legit. He's what you're looking for. He's the formula of pro wrestling. Go watch his matches in 87, 88. Just go watch Bam Bam.
Yeah.
This guy had what they wanted. He's a pro wrestler. It's Bam Bam Bigelow.
Yeah. So
awesome.
And that none of that should be overlooked as to what happened in 2003. That event in 2003 should definitely overshadow all those other things.
I never met the guy in person, but if I did, I would have been humble and nothing but respect for the guy. I mean, everybody's got their boundaries, but like I said, I'd have been like, wow, man, Bam Bam Bigelow. He should have. It's like there's nothing we say he doesn't get the respect he deserves, but I mean, there's nothing else we could do to put him over. I mean, it's Bam Bam Bigelow, except watch another 100 matches of his.
Yeah.
Him and Rob Van Dam's match. Van Dam's gonna remember that match forever. That was an awesome match.
Yeah.
My favorite Bam Bam match is probably gonna be man. I watched a lot of it. He was with remember the what was it called? The Tri-Gag? He was with Canyon and Diamond Dallas Page. Yeah. And him and Hogan had some tag matches then. And but I think my favorite Bam Bam match is gonna be the one with Rob Van Dam. I like that match. I'm gonna pick that one. There's so many to pick. And another thing I wanted to mention, Starrcade 98 was supposed to have Scott Hall versus Bam Bam. It's on the VHS cover for Starrcade 98. For whatever reason, the match didn't happen. I don't know what happened, but when they were advertising Starcade, it was supposed to be Goldberg and Scott. I'm not Goldberg. Scott Hall and Bam Bam Bigelow for Starcade '98. They end up having the match on Nitro in a ladder match,
It
but it
was
was
a time
supposed to happen at
constraint.
Starcade.
It was a time
I call it
constraint.
Mandela effect.
Yeah. So the story behind that is that, um, and of course, I'm pretty sure you've had shows like this before, where matches go long, and they want the show to go ahead and go with the main event. They have to cut certain matches. So when botches happen and they have to go a little bit longer than expected, unfortunately, that match had to be cut from Starcade. That's the reason why.
Man, if that's
So
true, that's awesome. I still love to see if the match actually happened. I need to look that up.
yeah,
If that's what happened, that is really cool.
yeah. So
Not all matches get recorded and documented. I've had matches that are not documented that I know happened, but you can't find any record of it.
yeah,
So you may be right.
yeah. Do you think that the people backstage would have been pissed off about that match being cut, even though that they were not in the match at all?
Well, I know that Scott Hall ends up hitting Goldberg with the taser, and Bam Bam interfered in the match later on, and I think they wanted to focus on the fact that Nash and Goldberg match. I don't know why they didn't. The match was an extra anyway. It was an extra match,
Yeah,
and I wish it would have happened, but for whatever reason it didn't. It would have been really big at the time too,
yes,
especially with Bam Bam. And plus, I think Bam Bam was still in his 60 days. You know, you can't perform 60 days after you leave a company back then. And maybe Paul Heyman and ECW, for whatever reason, maybe no, because he had matches on Nitro. Okay, so I'm wrong there. Yeah, I
yeah.
don't know why they didn't do the match.
Next thing that we would need to talk about is tragically um, the day that he passed away. He passed away on January 19th, 2007. So, um,
That's another thing about my show that I had last year. It was 2025, by the way.
yeah,
It was scheduled on January 19th in the same city that he passed away. It was the same
yeah,
day, January 19th, the flyer.
yes,
I'll send you the flyer later. I had to find it
yeah, yeah.
in the same
So
city.
that that to me came up to me as a shock at this point. When I first heard about him passing away, um, I want to say I was at my dad's. Um, I don't remember exactly where I was, but it was a Yahoo article that I saw where they said that WWE former wrestler passed away, um, and they just showed a picture of him, and I was like, okay, well that's tragic, that's sad, of course. You know, I'm sorry that happened, and it didn't really register as much because they did not really look at him as that big of a star. But when you look back in the late 80s, early 90s, he was that big of a star to where people would, it should have been a bigger deal at that time. I don't even think that WWE even acknowledged his death at that time. Do you recall it?
Yeah, I think it was over because he took him to court later on. He joined a
Yeah,
court thing. But the fact is, Bam Bam was in the. We talk about WrestleMania all the time.
yeah,
The first Survival Series, which was the second WWF pay per view after WrestleMania back in '87. Bam Bam was one of the last two guys in the main event of Survival Series. He got beat by Andre the Giant. That's historic. They're always going to show a picture of when Andre gave Bam Bam the chicken teeth slam, the arm slam over. I got that image in my head when I think of Survival Series. Um, the fact that they don't make it, it's somebody in the back, and probably because Bam Bam took him to court. It's all legal stuff. I
Yeah.
don't know why. We ought to see if the Saudi prince booked Bam Bam like he did Yokozuna and the Ultimate Warrior. We
It'd
ought to
be
see if he
good.
got booked too. I know
Yeah.
that's not funny because he's passed away, but I'm just saying some people don't realize he was, that he's gone.
Yes.
But I think he's going to go down as an ECW guy in the long, and I don't know why because he was in other. When I hear about Bam Bam from the younger generation, they call him an ECW guy. So he's
You.
definitely. You would think that Paul Heyman would be over there trying to get him in the Hall of Fame,
Yeah.
and maybe he will.
You know.
And I think Rob Van Dam should be the one that
Inducts him.
would that inducts him. Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
because that was an awesome. That Van Dam Bam Bam match should get a whole show podcast to itself. It was an
Yeah.
awesome match, and it made Van Dam to a huge superstar.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. When I look at Bam Bam Bigelow, I do think about him in WWE more so than ECW and WCW. Um, that's because his time in ECW was so short, but he was ECW champion. That's why everyone looks back at him as an ECW guy because of that ECW championship and that television championship.
And
Um,
that match with Van Dam.
yeah. So, what do you recall um, back when he passed away? What was your initial reaction to it exactly?
I looked at it. Well, I heard the was it like an overdose? Like I thought I was thinking of all the. I was like, man, all these wrestlers just keep going, man. Like
Yeah.
I'm a conspiracy guy, and I always look at every single possibility what really happened. I don't
Yeah.
always believe the media when they first say somebody passed away,
Yeah.
but I think wrestling lost a hero and a legend. I don't. I can't recall the first time that I found they on the internet and found out.
Yeah.
Um, but I remember Junkyard Dog when he passed away because I was like still in high school and I read it in the newspaper. But Van Dam, I mean not Van Dam, but Bam Bam Bigelow, that was a loss. Father Time tries to, kill off these great legend superstars. So
Yeah.
it's a major loss for pro wrestling, and I'm so glad. To me, Bam Bam is still a gift.
Yeah.
If people's blessed pro wrestling, Bam Bam was a gift from God,
Yeah.
and he was an attraction. He could have
Yeah.
he could have had a match with anybody, and he's up there. It's a shame, how things have went, towards Bam Bam's career. But when you look at the big picture, he stands out as one of the greatest of all time. And any card or any show that Bam Bam's on, you're like, oh well, this is a good match. I can watch this. It's a good match. If Bam Bam's in the match, it's a good match. I just want to say that I want to thank Bam Bam for entertaining
Yes.
humanity or this generation of pro wrestling. And I hope if he didn't, he found Jesus Christ. And I hope everything worked out. And I'm glad we can go back and watch matches and look up Bam Bam Bigelow. See, that's another gift from God. The fact that we can go back and watch the matches.
Definitely.
That's awesome when you think about it. That you can go back in 2026 and watch all of Bam Bam's matches, man, or most of them anyway. Like I said, he's an icon, he's a legend, and I'm glad I got to experience that. That's a
Yeah.
gift from God, man. It's another. God spoiled us. It's America being spoiled with another piece of chocolate cake.
So yeah, you got his diving headbutt, you got his moonsaults, you got his accomplishments, um, all that fun stuff to go on around.
He,
Uh,
I wanted to say he did the cartwheels in '87 and '88 as part of his
yeah,
as part of the Bam Bam. But I think he quit. I don't know why he quit doing those, but maybe because he got older. But I don't
back
see him.
issues.
He never did them in WCW. I never seen him do it in WCW,
Supposedly he had
but
a
he did it
lot.
at the Survival Series.
Yeah, supposedly he had a lot of back issues later on in life. So that's why he had to take a lot of OxyContin and different things. Back in WCW, all the way down to his independent days, there were reports saying that he was always on some kind of prescription drug medication. Um, so
Not 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 to promote alcohol, but I think I'm going to invent a Bam Bam Bigelow drink. Not to promote alcohol, man, but I think when I think of Bam Bam Bigelow, I think of a bottle of Jack Daniels, and I think it's the tattoo. I want to try to invent a Bam Bam Bigelow drink, man.
yeah,
I don't know if I should get a glass of Jack Daniels and light it on fire. We'll figure something out, but I
yeah,
think we need to invent a Bam Bam Bigelow uh, bottle of whiskey. That's my opinion. Because for some
yes,
reason, he's making me think of whiskey. Not to promote it, but hey, it is what it is.
yeah.
He's the
Fla-
Jack Daniels just reeks off of him.
Maybe a flaming bottle of whiskey or something.
Yeah, some kind of. There should be a Bam Bam whiskey drink. We need to invent
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I, I don't know how else to do it, but I know whiskey's very flammable and it can evaporate quickly. But
Maybe
with
Everclear. Maybe mix it with Everclear and Everclear and Jack Daniels together with something to make it like Fireball or something. I
yeah,
don't know. Some kind of
yeah.
Bam Bam mixed
I
drink.
mean,
I
if
want
you're
to try
going
to
to
invent
do it,
something like that.
if you're gonna make a drink in our Bam Bam Bigelow, you gotta add the flame to it. You have to drink it while it's
Yes, you
on
gotta.
fire.
Yes.
I mean, you gotta do that. You gotta do that.
We got
I
to do something
know
like that.
people
I've got
do
to try
that.
that.
Yeah.
Hey, I got it.
Yeah.
Maybe we should stick Flintstone cereal in it, for Bam Bam, off the little kid Bam Bam. I don't know,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Um.
That's a joke. That's a stupid joke.
Yeah. So, any last thoughts on Bam Bam Bigelow whatsoever?
Just want to say a badass, legit bad. Pardon my language, but legit badass. Legit bad. I mean, do you know anybody? There are a bunch of badasses in wrestling, but he was just him and Vader would have been like an awesome match. Imagine having those two guys, in a bar fight.
Yeah.
That's just two guys you don't want to mess with right there. Um, I think instead of a drink, maybe we could do like a head trick, like drink on your head with the flame. Yeah, we'll get
Yeah.
a whiskey and we'll light it on fire, and then you got to like somehow drink it and it burns your lips. The Bam Bam Bigelow trick, something like that. That's what I'm going to
Yeah.
call it.
Yeah.
I'm going to try something like that, man.
Don't set yourself on fire though. For that. So.
You know
Um,
what would have been cool? We have all these hardcore guys. Maybe if Bam Bam could have set his head on fire before he did a headbutt, one of these insane hardcore guys,
yeah.
that would have been super cool. Not,
Definitely.
not that I want to see his head on fire, but in honor of Bam Bam, like light your head on fire and do a headbutt off the top rope.
Yeah.
That'd be super awesome. I might try that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I get it. In the '90s and things, they were probably concerned about safety with that. But nowadays, if he was around today, or even if he came out today, I could probably see him actually getting something like lighter fluid or something, pouring it on his head, lighting it on fire,
Yes.
doing a diving headbutt that way, and for
Oh,
them to
yes.
immediately use the fire extinguishers to get it out so it doesn't
You
burn
know,
him.
we forgot to mention two things here.
Yeah.
Bam Bam in a Hell in a Cell match. That never happened. And Bam Bam versus Cactus Jack or Mick Foley. Did that happen? We need to find that match.
probably look that up.
I'm gonna look it up. At ECW,
Yeah.
I bet they had a match. Cactus Jack and Bam Bam. I
Yeah.
bet him and Cactus Jack had a match. Probably in New Japan.
They probably did. They
Yeah,
probably
probably a New
did.
Japan wrestler.
Yeah.
Well, all right, man. Bobby knows here, brother. Peace out.
Yeah. This has been the Jedi 08, also known as Jeremy Jai Guillory. Um, Next week, um, should we do the Royal Rumble or another wrestler?
I like to do Vader. Or did we already do Vader?
We have not done Vader yet.
Let's do Vader, and then we'll do the Rumble.
All right, sounds good. So next week we're going Big Van